does not
no,
get picked.
we're not doing that.
Oh, draft! There you go. Thank God. All right.
Well, it's not Wisp.
No, it's definitely
Wisp has
not
been first
Wisp.
banned.
For the record, I think that hero is Husker, but
Okay.
Husker.
I think that hero, unfortunately, just got garbage.
Yeah, the Wisp ban, I like the fact that they take the tree out too. Bobica is playing that hero a lot leading up to Kiev and doing stuff with it. Wasn't always looking great, but I think it just messes with your game plan too much, even after the nerfs.
And when you talk about it, I would not give Alliance Wisp, just period.
No, you should not give them that. I also don't think you should give away. I mean, we've been talking about Sven, but it hasn't been a hero.
Okay, are we going back to an EGM classic? Is this TI3?
I mean, is it necessarily a support?
No,
I
it's
mean,
not necessarily a support,
it's
but I think it's most likely a support.
Yeah, I
Hero
think
got a lot of changes.
And it's interesting to me to see VGJ ban Clockwork. They Alliance had been running SF Clock enough so that they averaged almost 2 denies at the 0-minute mark in the previous patch. That's how much they were running those two heroes.
You know, I think you're right about it, like 70% chance being support, but I'm kind of thinking about it, and it's like mid Wind Ranger. I feel like you have a reliable early to mid game impact, and I feel like support Wind Ranger doesn't necessarily do that. You know, like there are supports that would give you. Oh God,
there we go. Now,
Oh, man.
there's a hero that I've been dying to talk about because, of course, the ghost ship change, right, is at the very least, it's one of the bigger quality of life improvements that we've seen for any hero recently.
Oh, man.
But now Alliance is going to go back to the tiny. It's 7.06 guys. How good do you think Kunkka is?
I think he's very strong. I think Kunkka's a great fighting hero because here's the thing: is like the ghost ship change. It's not just about it being easier to land and that sort of thing. It also really affects your positioning.
Yes.
Kunkka is a tankier. He's like a tankier support, and he also does a lot of physical damage. Before, you couldn't utilize those two aspects.
You couldn't
up
be on the
front
front line because you had to stay back to hit ship.
You had to be so far back and then run your way in and get your Tidebringer hit. But now you can actually be on the front lines, utilize that tankiness, and utilize the physical damage that comes with Kunkka, just because you don't have to be so far back for your ghost ship. So.
And the other thing is with the change of the spell, it's actually easier to multi-purpose. It's easier to hit enemy heroes with it and get the buff on your teammates.
Yeah.
Whereas before, if you actually wanted to land the thing, it was tricky to line it up so it passed through your teammates as well. And that rum buff is way underrated.
We're talking about like Kunkka and the different. We're talking about the supports in this patch. So FY and Fenrir kind of made their bones, roaming together and working together back in the TA4 time. If you're talking about Kunkka as a roamer by himself, he provides a lot of control, but not so much damage or maybe finishing power. That might have been one of his limitations in the previous patch. Although some teams were using him already. If you put him now with the Crystal Maiden, let's say these two are more active and do more roaming, you now have a lot of control and kill potential with just about any strong laner that you put them with. So we could start to see that style of FY Fenrir, just like back in the day, more vintage.
Yeah, there was even a time when it was eHome that was running this combo together, and they ran it where Kunkka got a bunch of points up in Tidebringer with Torrent because you were always going to be able to set up the hit afterwards, and that's something that they could think about. I still think X is too value not to take at least a value point in it early on, but now I want to see VGJ take like some strong laning heroes that can find kills and doesn't need to keep that CM and Kunkka tethered to one lane.
Yeah, self-sufficient
right there.
There you go. Yeah,
Ursa,
exactly.
Ursa, Lifestealer, I think are the two biggest heroes. Omni Knight, definitely one of the offlaners of this patch, I believe.
I think that's crazy though. After what we saw VP do at Kiev, and we've seen this in the weeks since, that Ursa is viewed by many teams as a direct counter to the Omni Knight. Certainly, at least if the Omni Knight's going to be a 3 position, and their alliance just picked it without hesitation into an Ursa.
True, but there's not many offlaners that can really deal with the Ursa from a laning perspective. Tidehunter was one of the heroes that eHome ran before this tournament, and I thought we had the conversation. Did we have it on online? Because the PMS and the Kraken Shell and all that sort of thing, right? So
yeah, because Tidehunter is in some ways a very efficient offlaner because he doesn't have to buy the PMS.
Yeah, and I think he's also a kind of timing push sort of offlaner, right? He's one of those heroes that is overwhelmingly strong at certain key points in the game, and you use that to be able to take objectives.
LGD have been running it pretty much every time that they've been winning the qualifiers with it as well. Tidehunter and LFY as well. And they tend to run it with like something like a Sand King as well as sort of that other thing, but it tends to be out of the position 4, so I kind of feel like that would not be a good place for them at this point.
It's kind of a regional change in some ways. Like even towards the end of last patch, people considered to be a bit greedier. Teams were finding this faster pace in the Chinese qualifier as well, as you mentioned. So with the Ursa also fitting that template pretty well.
What are the lanes going to look like here for Alliance, though? This just seems a little bit awkward.
I believe you have to run dual lanes against Ursa. I think it's one of the most effective ways to deal with this hero is forcing, because he's all offense, but no real defense, pre-level 6. So you want to make sure that you have the capability to actually threaten that hero, in which case this helps lock down the supports more to the bottom lane, while still having good amount of survivability between Omni-Knight and Undying, because they both have a heal that they can give each other. So in that lockdown of Frostbite into Torrent, you know, that combination, you're not necessarily going to get bursted down because you have a defense, like a saving mechanism from both of those heroes.
I do worry about that a little bit, because we saw this in the previous series where we saw a Darkseer Slardar duo shown relatively early in the draft with the thought of running an aggressive duel, and they just, the other team just defensive tried. And now the thing is, a defensive trialing right now is so much less risky, because if they abandon the aggro dual lane, your supports have so much more option. Right, your Crystal Maiden and Kunkka can both make their living down in the Radiant jungle now.
True, but I think Undying is still a pretty decent zoning hero against the offlaners if they're by themselves. So Undying can still fill that role. I think there's still just a little bit of versatility to your draft for Alliance.
It's also possible for them to run an Ursa mid, which we've seen a lot of recently as well. If they want to dodge a strong dual lane, have him up against a Tiny, in which case he'll be able to get his when he needs to. He has to worry about the burst combo. And obviously, any roam towards the mid with an Ursa is pretty much a guaranteed kill.
I wouldn't mind seeing Storm out of them either. There's a little bit of a lack of control from Alliance. Ursa fits the same bill as far as being able to exploit that. And Alliance right now, this feels to me like it's a Wind Ranger core, but that's also sort of awkward because like Limp is the tiny player. It's so weird.
I think.
This is no. They will run load on Tiny. This is it. It's still. Wind Ranger core is still open. I still think it's 70-30 at least that it's going to be a support.
I like Terrorblade here. Well, Tidehunter really dumpsters Terrorblade, actually. I forgot about that.
They've been running a lot of Witch King, too. Or, yeah.
Wraith King?
Wraith King, yeah.
Witch King.
We all know what you meant.
Witch King, Wraith King, Lion Witch, Lion,
for VGJ, anytime you're talking about their last pick being a mid, you look toward the Lina. That's kind of Freeze's signature hero. I don't know that's
Our part is that they have to, from Alliance's perspective, they have to consider that Ursa is matched up mid against the Tiny, and so they have to actually be able to pick up a last core option that can run mid for them, or they settle on Tiny safe lane and run a different mid. Because
I don't think.
I'm not going to say don't think. There's no way Tiny is going to be able to do anything against Ursa on 0 armor.
Yeah. Yeah, and keep in mind, again, the potential just for these 1v1 unfavorable laning matchups to spiral out of control with the new deny mechanics.
He'll have the help of Undying mid, probably, especially in the first level or two. But again, then you just have like Kunkka mid with the Ursa. And
I like that a lot more. This is that's a mid Queen of Pain, and this is going to be a safe lane Tiny. I think that's a lot better.
I don't know. It's tough. I think that there's a decent amount of control for her in this game. That could be a rough match. I mean, I don't know if there was really a great answer last. Anyways, I still don't mind Storm if they wanted to run that. Is that a terrible matchup against Quab?
It's not fantastic, but you're more focused on what you're going to be able to achieve outside of that fact.
Right.
So you're in danger of like early Orchid from the Queen of Pain, but if you get your Orchid in return. The difference is Storm Spirit can jump in, Orchid you, disable you, and do a lot of burst damage.
Oh,
the Medusa.
I think they just won.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think so too.
That Medusa pick was crazy. All right, quick predictions, guys, because I think that 5th pick Medusa was really good.
I was expecting to get more damage because they're very one-dimensional in terms of control and damage right now. The Medusa needs to get really farmed, so I like Alliance's draft in game 1.
Okay.
I think that they do have a very clear way to take objectives with Tidehunter just like being there as a threat of Ravage and Ursa stealing Rosh and things like that. So I'm going to go with VGJ.
Drafting the Quap against Kunkka CM is a little bit difficult, so I'm going to lead with VGJ.
I thought the draft was relatively even until those 5th picks. I think that Queen was the wrong pick, and I think that Medusa was the right one. So I think we're going to see VGJ, but our panel is split here, and we're going to send you out to our casters. For our second series today, we have Coddle Guy and Lacoste.
Thank you so much, Nahaz. I'm here at the caster's desk, if you will, with my Croatian comrade. We got Lacoste in action. It's his first LAN as a commentator, so please be gentle. Lacoste, we get Alliance versus VGJ. I love the draft. We get to see some old comfort picks for some of these teams. We get to see some fresh faces, but the panel seemed to feel like after that 5th pickup of Medusa that this game belongs to VGJ. What are your thoughts about it?
I also like the Medusa pick more, actually, because they have enough late game and enough control, especially for that Queen of Pain with Crystal Maiden root, probably going to max it, and with X-Torrent, she's just really vulnerable to that.
What do you think of Alliance going for what looks like the support Wind Ranger? Wind Ranger had received a bit of love, but they're going to be running in that support lane. Actually, look at this. This is getting pretty hype right now. 3, 2, 1, let's Dota! All right, folks, and we'll pause. Okay, so now you have a chance to answer that question now. So they're one of the few teams that are kind of going with like a support Wind Ranger here. As I said, this patch may have given her a little bit of loving, some meme kind of plays even in the later game, but what do you think about how Alliance are going to be rolling with it?
Well, Alliance don't have much control in their heroes. So what they have is that Shackle from Windrunner, and they rely so much on Blink Dagger on Tiny early on, which is going to be hard to get against that Tidehunter. Also, this patch pretty much unexplored so far, but what I feel about it, during the panelist phase, I said 648, I meant 684, just to correct myself.
I mean, you're an old player, so
yeah,
you probably were there
I
for 648.
That was also the balance patch, though. But what I want to say is that I feel like for this patch, you can pretty much pick whatever hero you want. You just need to create a right lineup.
It looks like for this particular game, they were experiencing a lot of issues at getting the game underway. They remade the lobby, and maybe it was part of the reason or not. It does look like the names on the players are going to be a bit switched up, so we will apologize ahead of time if we happen to misname some players. I'll try my best off the top of my head to, recall who's playing what in what lane position, but please forgive me if I don't know who the hell Kunkka is with that name. But already the team's getting out there a bit. The ward meta is surely upon us, and it looks like Alliance are going to be keeping things more defensive with their tri-lane for now, and just letting the Omni Knight fend for his own there in the bottom lane in the what looks like the 1v1, while VGJ seem to be doing something a bit more on the aggressive side possibly, or at least for now they have a lot congregated towards their secret shop side. It's Alliance looking to make that early aggressive approach. They want to get a hold of this piece of bounty pie, and it looks like they might be able to take it. But now Crystal Maiden stepping in. It's a bit of a 3-on-3. The Torrent's going to be there. It's good connection onto the Undying. Can they get a hold of him for that first blood? The Snake flies through. And now quickly Alliance are on the way out. But the Frostbite connects, and it's going to be Crystal Maiden with the first blood.
And it's already icing over.
Yeah, they ran 3 into 4 heroes against the Kunkka and the Maiden combo. Pretty hard to go there, actually. They didn't expect them to be there.
Good little early game push right now for VGJ. It's always nice to get that extra bit of money for the first blood here, and we'll get underway here. Queen of Pain versus Medusa is going to be your mid lane matchup, and as you can see, still EGM trying to be a bother here to VGJ's side. He has the power shot to work with, which is an easy harassing tool, does good damage, and as you're saying before, they have a lot of potential setup.
Yeah, on mid lane there's a deep ward from VGJ, so they have a good vision on Queen of Pain, so the Snake can actually bounce.
And he's probably going to be manipulating that as best as possible, as you can see there. Trying to get that last strike onto the Queen of Pain herself. ROTK is on one of his comfort picks here, Lacoste. He's on his Tidehunter here. Tidehunter in the previous meta, we got to see very little of it in our recent American qualifier action for Summit. But what do you think about Tidehunter's place possibly in 7.06?
I managed to actually say during the analyst phase in the previous game that I like to see a Tidehunter in one game, the second one, but still I think Tidehunter will do good this patch because of the creep camps in the jungle, so he can farm more. That's where he excels.
Later game, we'll be able to make that serious team impact with the Ravage. Still have to factor that there is the Omni Knight on the other side. They almost have that free BKB, and BKBs might be something to look to acquire later into the game. But when you really look at their lineup, not a lot of natural BKB candidates here, so I think the Omni Knight may have a little bit of work cut out for him on that front.
Well, they have actually two candidates. Queen of Pain is a natural one, and also Tiny if needed. Probably not going to go this game because you have Omni Knight, so one is needed in the team, actually.
You could definitely weasel in the BKB into the lineups, but I feel like they're always like item 3 or 4 or something like that. We'll have to see how many Ravages they're going to be able to get off before that point, and if they've already been able to make their mark with it or not. But things still steady as she goes. It looks like Aggressive is going to be able to have a free lane for now to work with. Anytime Omni Knight gets close, he's able to kind of just rip right through him. And you have that constant pressure of the Kunkka nearby. Makes it very sketchy.
Yeah, Omni Knight is saving 1 point. Okay, he just get one into the heal. All right, kind of hard to kill Omni Knight with these two heroes. They need a rotation from CM to actually kill Omni.
Yeah, the pressure of that CM is making its way towards the bottom lane. They're able to pull him back in. There's going to be that Frostbite. The slashes come out. He gets the heal off, but it may be not enough. And sure enough, it's going to be Aggressive who pulls in the last hit.
Yeah, Ursa went for like a super aggressive build, Boots of Speed and Orb of Venom, so he can get hands on Kunkka, on Omni Knight, sorry.
Very frisky lineup already for VGJ. We saw Alliance trying to bring in a bit of their own aggressiveness here. Hanskin, I believe, playing that Undying, has been roaming a lot between the mid and top lane, just trying to decay and poke at the Medusa a bit. She does trail behind just a little bit still to the Queen of Pain. Queen of Pain, look at that, 14 and 15 denies. May I remind you, this is 7.06, and she's getting a little bit extra loving from those denies. 15 denies.
Let's check the XP. Well, she's a half level above Medusa because of that.
That's nice. And obviously Queen of Pain is going to be ramping up the denies even further because of it. I'm sure people like Dendi are just so thrilled with 7.06. He's a monster denier in his own right. Looks like we're getting a little bit of that classic Kale lag here, so we're going to have a minor pause. But now is our chance to be able to evaluate what the hell's been happening across the board here. Who do you think it's going better for so far? It's easy to say VGJ because they have the 2 kills.
We have the graph, so it's easy to say. But on top, Tidehunter pretty much uncontested. He has 11 CS. Really hard to kill him with just Undying, who's level 1 still, and with Tiny, he can actually out-harass them, and with Anchor Smash, they don't have enough damage actually to kill him.
And ROTK, normally in the weaker games for VGJ, we're seeing ROTK get bullied so hard that he's been that first blood, second blood kind of a person, and always on the path of recovery. But here we're seeing him able to kind of hold his own. And you were talking about before, he has lots of jungle camps to be able to farm up and go through. Oh man, your screen is going crazy right now. That's unfortunate. Looks like you may have to join me on our observer screens here in the meantime, and we'll look to get that fixed in the next one.
A lot of problems, it seems. All right.
They'll get their way through it here, but more lag onto the gaming field right now, unfortunately, will put us back at another slow stop.
Yeah, but all the problems that were supposed to happen during the whole tournament are happening right now, so we're going to have a clear finals. That's what matters.
That's always how it works anyways. You just got to get through a bit of the rough beginnings, and then things will smooth out over time here. Looks like evaluating through some of the last hits already. Our Tiny friend up there at the top is winning in that front. Tiny in 7.06. We can talk about it a bit. He got a little bit of love, and I believe on his craggy exterior. It procs a bit more often, right?
Yeah, every time he grows.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's got to be one of the most infuriating passives in the game.
Yeah, but thing is, against all these heroes, I mean, Tidehunter, Medusa, Ursa, all these 3 heroes, all these 3 cores have enough HP to survive the Tiny combo. And, I mean, even Kunkka later on will have enough HP to survive the combo from Tiny. The only one is CM, who can actually one-shot.
Yeah. I wonder if the build-up, as far as items go, is going to be something similar or not. A lot of people were talking about how the way they gave Tiny those talents, it's not conducive to picking up an Agnum Scepter anymore. We're seeing more Tinies kind of pass on the Agnum Scepter and go for other options. What do you personally think about it? Do you feel like the Agnums is still kind of a bread and butter pickup for the Tiny?
Not necessarily. First of all, his first talent gives him enough mana pool, so he doesn't need that.
Yeah.
So probably, if he wants to go, he can go for Midas, just for some extra levels and just to secure the late game farm. Also, then he actually needs a Blink Dagger, Shadow Blade maybe later on to focus in the fights, try to snipe kill before the fight starts on that CM, maybe Kunkka. This game, if you're talking about super late game, Butterfly might not be a bad idea against Ursa, Medusa.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's going to be tough, man. Medusa's one of the best, man fighters. If you're looking to go one-on-one, face-to-face, she obviously has Stone Gaze and all that power. Early combo, but the repel will deny the X, which is still good. Kunkka's happy to throw out those X's all day if he's going to have to chew through that chunk of mana to get the repel down.
Well, Kunkka doesn't care about mana. He has his lady in a blue as support.
The beautiful blonde providing lots of precious mana across the board here for VGJ. I believe Fenrir has been on that Crystal Maiden and walking his way through the jungle and participating in those bottom lane gank attempts too. Top lane, ROTK is starting to feel himself a bit as he's gotten to level 4, closer to level 5. He's built up at least 2 points into that Kraken Shell and Anchor Smash, and now can swing a bit in the lane. And it looks like they're going to be possibly rotating things over to that top lane. ROTK could bait them into an awkward position. Could bait Alliance in, rather.
Yeah, especially, okay, Tiny just healed up, but with Infused Raindrop on, okay, they're making a move on ROTK.
Stun there, power shot, they get the X, the Torrent pullback there. They're looking to get the finish on the lip. The Frostbite locks him down. The heals begin to come out, but that's when Aggressive rotates on over and right-clicks it home. They need a little bit more to get the finish. Can he find a way to juke within the trees? Oh my God! He has turned the corner. He is running up north. The Torrent, though, just misses. There's no way this man lives. There is no way this man lives.
Whoa!
This man has just lived. He is walking away.
The boy who lived, the man who lived, actually.
Woo! That that straight cut up north made it all the sweeter there, and he somehow walks out alive. In the meantime, it does look like RTK was able to get a hold of EGM and brings him down. He just had to, someone had to pay for that.
Yeah,
and it was
play
EGM.
from Loda.
Very nicely done.
Actually, on the bottom lane right now, Omni Knight is having the time of his life. Pretty much every hero rotated on top. They didn't manage to kill a Tiny, so he's got himself to what? My camera is not working, so probably a level 5 or 6.
I don't think you can call out to these observers. They don't understand the English, Lacoste. Right. So we're at the mercy of their camera at the moment, and we'll move along from there. Back at bottom lane, it seems that ROTK has pieced out from his off lane and has now found some new ground to kind of work with here. He's going to be pitted against a tri-lane of Alliance right now, though, so he's just trying to muscle his way towards, I imagine, getting that level 6 finish and having the Ravage online. But rotations are starting to come from VG down into their woods. Alliance are already here, planted for a possible fight, and that's when they sow the Kunkka. They're going to move in, hit him with the Decay. He goes right for the TP, though, and now the Alliance lack of lockdown it does show a little bit there. But they do manage to get Fenrir's Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is paying off for Alliance. I mean, they moved Tiny, they killed the Crystal Maiden once again, but is it enough? I mean, they're not getting much farm from that, especially with Loda rotating on bottom and giving Tidehunter a farm on top. On bottom, actually. He's on bottom,
yeah. It does feel a little bit awkward for Alliance, maybe reaching a bit to try to get some action underway. They are successful in getting the takedown of the Crystal Maiden, but it's a matter of was it worth it enough. Now they do the long trek, it looks like, all the way across the map to get up there at top, where it's been aggressive, free farming his way through that lane right now. So things are still kind of nourishing very nicely here for VGJ. Aggressive at top of that net worth, but it's about that time for Alliance's level 6s all come online, and we might see some action break out. Queen of Pain, I imagine, is going to be getting frisky soon.
Yeah, Queen of Pain, what is she building? Come on, show us. It's a double null talisman from what I saw. Might go for Veil of Discord for that extra magical damage from Tiny. Power shot.
It would be nice to have. They definitely have the burst potential there between the Queen of Pain and Tiny. It feels like anyone they get their grubby hands on should be able to be bursted apart. Maybe Tide would be an exception, but we'll have to see here. He grabs up that TP scroll. Didn't look like he leveled the Ravage yet. I don't know if he's nursing the point or not, but is ready to respond to action if necessary here. Still seeing Medusa grind her way through him, farm. She's got decent last hits, and it's just kind of being the insurance policy for VGJ, really.
Yeah, that's their last pick. They could have gone for something like more mid-game oriented, but with this, they have a super late game secured. Also, the best item right now for VGJ is Infused Raindrop against that Queen of Pain and Tiny. If everyone can get it, it should be super good for them.
There we see a wealth of stacks here, courtesy of the Frog every minute. You're going to see a lot more of them come out, and it is going to be a farm fest. It looks like right now between Limp and EGM. They will be happy to gobble it all up. Find EGM now getting closer to his own personal level 6, and looks like he's favored a lot of points into that power shot, but still has the shackle shot also to work with here.
Yeah, he skipped the Wind Run, so he's going like all-in build, lockdown plus damage, and there's the whale I was talking about on Queen of Pain.
Yep.
Just to boost some magical damage output.
Yeah, I think it's fighting time if you're Alliance. The problem is if they're able to kind of find the fight. VGJ have been pretty good about kind of stepping away and playing the farming game right now. They already took the initiative at the start of the game and put themselves into a good, advantage. And now they're just kind of walking their way through it. That's the new Kunkka taunt, by the way. I didn't get to see all of it, but it looked pretty cool.
Well, the problem is that Kunkka is level 4. If Alliance can find an opening right now, they're so much stronger with their heroes.
It's a matter of finding that opening here. Looks like drums could be a possible pickup here for your Tiny moving forward. Getting the benefit, of course, of that strength and move speed. Help them get that call into action that much faster. How's our Omni Knight friend doing? It looks like Skin down here is going for the Midas build-up.
Yep. Well, Lora decided to go for phase boots and drum build because he thinks he needs like more damage, more survivability as well. And that Blink Dagger is like cost-worthy, 2.2k. So it's he doesn't feel like he has enough time to buy it actually.
All right, here we go, Alliance. They smoke up and they begin to go on the move. It's a long trek all the way down to that bottom lane where we find ROTK farming it up right now with FY. And already ROTK is on the way out. So even if they only get the one gank on the Kunkka, it's hard to gauge whether it's really worth it or not, while we see VGJ trying to make a setup play on the Tiny, which is very valuable here. So we'll have to see who's going to be more successful potentially on this one already. FY is just kind of hiding himself out. They actually put out a scan, and it reads successfully there. So VGJ are going to be privy to the possible movement coming out from Alliance. In fact, as you can see, Freeze making his own juicy set of stacks here. It's going to get spotted out from Alliance, and we'll have to see what they're going to be, if they do decide to notate that or not. It looks like they dropped a ward right on that ancient camp, so it is something they're going to keep tabs on.
Yeah, they want to have vision when Medusa goes there. Try to probably pop one more smoke. Yeah. Oh, nice reaction from EGM there. Nicely spotted, and
poor Aggressive gets bashed down from the Rosh and beaten. And you can see even VGJ wards on their ancient camp. So they can be able to keep the spot here. It's EGM able to quickly take that ward vision down, but Aggressive is still going in on this Rosh. They have ROTK nearby as the gatekeeper with that Ravage good to go, and it's looking like Alliance are not going to have really any say in the matter at all. By the time Loda considers coming by the neighborhood, the job's already done. VGJ have got their Rosh, they got their Aegis, and they pull back to their lanes.
Yeah, he just came back to say hi to his new neighbors, and that's pretty much it. Bring the cake.
And now he takes his business right back towards the top lane here, and Aggressive get back to the drawing board. Still not really able to find a lot of action coming away. I mean, here we're beginning to move into the mid phase now. Queen of Pain's going to have a level 2 ulti soon, and I haven't even seen her dish out one yet. Have you seen a Sonic Wave yet?
No, not a Sonic Wave, not a Tidehunter ulti. The problem is they don't have an initiation hero right now. The Blink Dagger on Tiny is 2k gold away, and they can't find an opening. I mean, Queen of Pain can go in, maybe with a repel, and that's pretty much it.
So VGJ will just continue to play this economy game as long as they're given the opportunity to do so. Aggressive gets back to the top lane to match up against Loda a bit. And it's whether or not they feel frisky. And it looks like the FY Fenrir duo is going to begin their trek towards that top lane in hopes of getting a possible setup and delaying that tiny Blink Dagger. But Alliance have actually already made their own rotation play. Loda comes to the bottom lane. He just chucks on in the Undying. And this is a tough man to bring down. Let's see if they can do it. No, look at that. He's got a hood. He pops it and walks away, barely taking any damage at all. Alliance are getting pretty thirsty here. And their efforts are coming up just a bit short. But here we go, Loda. Is he going to toss him back in? Yes, he is. Throws him right back towards his hand-skinned comrade. And now they'll begin to just blast him down. ROTK will finally end up dropping here. It looks like he will nurse the Ravage for now. And finally, Alliance will get him and try to move it into a +1.
They were using so much time to actually get hands on that Tidehunter. Meanwhile, VGJ just continues to farm the whole map.
Yep, as we see, just as Alliance are able to finally grab that Tier 1 tower, it's Aggressive who gets his first. It's a step in the right direction, but Alliance are certainly going to be needing a lot more to maintain control in this one. As we can see, the Medusa is now level 13.5. She's already had that Midas. And she's continuing to build up even further stat items here, as it looks like the Dragon Lance is slotted to come up next.
15 minutes in, not a single Medusa ulti, Tide ulti, no ship, no Queen of Pain ulti. Seems like these teams are building it up to a late game.
Yeah.
Also, Ursa decides to skip a Blink Dagger. He thinks they have enough control in X from Kunkka, which is level 4 right now. So what he needs is a Diffusal Blade to counter that Omni Knight ulti.
It's great timing, too, because if they get that at such a great time, the first time we'll see Alliance take a team fight and hope to fall back on that Guardian Angel, they'll be in for a seriously rude awakening. Just, again, because they haven't been able to take serious big team fights. And as the pressure continues here from Aggressive, it looks like Alliance have had enough. They pop their smoke back into the safety of the dark and begin the rotation all the way up and over. But it looks like VGJ are already on their way out.
Yeah, VGJ just needs.
It looks
that,
like, according to our observer,
blade.
it may have been spotted by that obs.
Might be.
Yeah. And the way they're acting, it looks like it might have been. Now they're the ones moving back in, and it's going to be Aggressive caught up in some action. Remember, he does have that Aegis, so Alliance will have to bring him down twice and hope to not overcommit too much. But it looks like VGJ are considering walking on in. It's ROTK right towards Loda. Gets hit with the combo. He's going to be forced to pop his hood.
Is the Shrine ready? Can't really see it. Oh,
Ooh,
nice shackle.
On the one tree there available, they will latch down Lady Dusa, but quickly Aggressive turns to take the fight. That's when the Guardian Angel will come out. Ravage will help get the finish. It's loaded to go down, and now they're looking to set their sights onto Queen of Pain next. Can they get the first finish? They will be able to take down Aggressive in his first life, and Queen of Pain will quickly step away from the trouble. Here comes the return of Aggressive now, and it looks like VGJ are trying to walk out the other direction, but Limp begins to make his move in, jumps in, the boat flies out, and it looks like VGJ will move as a posse up towards the Shrine and hit those showers.
That Tidehunter is so tanky. They should not try to focus him there. Guardian Angel was popped. There was Ursa Diffusal's Blade to counter it. Is their Aegis still up? Come on, show us.
No, he actually lost it in that fight.
Lost it.
He definitely lost it in that fight. It went down. So it was the only thing Alliance had been able to grab, but obviously VGJ are going to be satisfied with that. At the end of the day, it's a takedown of Loda, who at the, who's going to be looking to be the late game prime damage dealer. And now it's VGJ looking to go on the offensive. They've popped their smoke, and as they have ROTK just, waddling around that mid lane, they're hoping to possibly set him up as some sort of bait, but it looks like they spotted out Loda. He already dished out the toss here. Now it's going to be the X. Good repel, though, does come out from Hanskin. He's able to get the save. And VGJ will have to take their business elsewhere.
Yeah, that Ursa is really not close to a Blink Dagger. I'm not sure how far Loda is. For those who are tuning in right now, we have some technical issues and can't really control the camera, so we just see from what China.
What you guys see is all we see.
Yeah, that's it. So can't really.
And we'll get a resolve for the next one. No big deal. We're at the mercy of the Chinese observers here, but It's 4-2 Lacoste. There's not much to look at the moment. So.
Yeah. First Ravage, first both, 17 minutes in.
Okay, here we go, though. It's Alliance making rotations towards the bottom. Nearly all hands on deck for this one, and Medusa's already stepped out the other direction. EGM was en route, but it was not going to be any connection for the shackle shot there. So she avoids that gank attempt, and VGJ can take their business to the top lane without too much trouble. Just seems like for this game, for the most part, VGJ more privy to Alliance's movements and are able to kind of take the fights they want or prepare for whatever fights they want. Right now we have Loda farming it up, but it's VGJ close by. Ooh, this is going to be bad. The torrent's there, but Loda already out the other direction. Dodges that one.
Well, at least they're going to steal the stack.
Looks like it. Oh, as Fenrir heads to the high ground, she eats a lot of damage. Looks like she was trying to get up there to plant down a sentry. Does end up dropping it, but Alliance are right there ready for a fight, waiting on the high ground here. They will spot ROTK farming through the stack. He actually doesn't have too much help nearby, but okay. They throw him right back towards the rest of the team, but it takes so long for him to come down that VGJ will eventually rotate over and be there by his side.
Yeah, he's bringing an item on Tidehunter. Not sure what it is.
Is it his blink dagger?
Might be a blink dagger, might be a full pipe.
X on EGM. They pull him back. He's going to get the help there from Hanskin. Nice little friendly heal and repel will save him from trouble. But VGJ are still looking to fight around. He actually dishes out the defusal onto EGM, but he's happy to turn around and do the quick shackle. Alliance are just not looking to get caught out here, but eventually they do catch EGM with the X Torrent. Aggressive's trying to move in and go for the finish. It actually forces out the Guardian Angel now. And VGM, or VGJ rather, are still the team in the better position.
Yeah, the Tidehunter in front lines, they don't have any burst, and they got nothing to burst him with, especially right now. He actually finished the mech, plus with a full hood.
Whoa.
He can just go in there. The next fight is going to probably be at the Rosh pit. VGJ is really not in a rush, especially with Medusa as their late game carry.
This'll come in handy.
Yeah, they already claim the top 2 net worth at the moment. We're seeing even Loda fall behind where ROTK is in terms of farm. So it's a struggle right now for Alliance, and like you were saying, it's just not something that's going to get any easier. They have what looks like a lot of good farm on the map on their side, at least to work through, but VGJ are the team with just the better late game draft, and it's only going to get better for them as the time goes on, the items come in.
I actually love the build on Loda. That Blink Dagger wouldn't provide him that much of a vision over the enemy team. But with Shadow Blade, he has enough mobility, actually, and can surprise, let's say, a Kunkka or a Crystal Maiden. The others won't go down from that burst.
Looks like VGJ have taken their business all the way across to the bottom half of the map now. Tier 1s are still standing here, so it's just a matter of them moving down that agenda. And the pressure is on Alliance to be able to respond to it. Most of them already together in preparation for possibly a push here in the bottom lane. It's a question of whether the team fight's going to be strong enough for it, because you can't help but look at VGJ's lineup, and you got a mech, a hood. They have the better team fight right now.
Yeah,
but
Blink Dagger picked up on Ursa, so we can expect some better initiations from Team VGJ. Also, there's not a single item on the Medusa that deals damage right now, so it's more like a mobility. It's kind of a Yasha build, might save it, might go into Manta style, just some more mobility, a little bit of damage.
Nice. Looks like FY will deny Loda from that haste rune. Good cheeky little grab for him. And after VGJ get what they want through the bottom lane, they just go right back to their farm game here. But looks like Loda has had his Shadow Blade completed, and he's on the move. Unfortunately for him, the closest target is ROTK. It's just a bit too big at the moment, but he settles for some farm instead. The problem is that they could converge on top of him here. It looks like they've been able to spot out EGM, and it's Aggressive, who happens to be crossing the street, easily slashes the lady down. And it is going to be Jonas and Loda possibly looking to find their way out. But he pops his Shadow Blade, looks to re-engage. And again, they might have to settle with ROTK, who is just such big fish. He turns around with the Ravage now. Guardian Angel will be forced out. Fenrir looking to dish out the Freezing Field, but obviously not going to be dishing a whole lot of damage. VGJ just repositioned, step back, create some space, and now they're going to get the new approach. Aggressive, diving in, looking to go for the finish on Omni Knight. Can he get it? Not quite yet. They'll settle for Loda instead. The boat will be there, and they'll knock him on down. It's VGJ on the prowl. The zombies do slow them down a bit, but the chase does continue here, and it looks like Limp might be able to get a turnaround. But man, ROTK, he can tank. He is a tonk. They finally get him down. EGM able to shoot him apart with that power shot there, but the effort is just ridiculous.
That amount of damage he can tank is just insane. Medusa seems to have almost a Manta-style finish, so also another defensive item coming out from her, so what I expect next is a kind of a Maelstrom or just some kind of a maybe even tankier build with a Scotty so she can't die to anything.
Just make her the goddess. The ultimate late game trump card here for VGJ. Well, Alliance are kind of already working in one of their big power spikes, really. And if they're only able to trade one ROTK for their own Tiny, it's obviously not looking so good. But we'll hold out for Alliance to see what kind of hope they can get. Maybe a confrontation towards the Rosh pit could be an opportunity for them.
Yeah, I don't think Alliance can actually fight near the Rosh pit. It goes down so fast. Guardian Angel is on cooldown. Queen of Pain ulti is on cooldown. They will just have to ditch it.
Scans there. It reads positive, but they're not heeding your advice. It looks like they can't really afford to be handing over so much to VGJ, so they're hoping to get a scrap of something here. They'll dish out the shackle shot, but it's only going to be on ROTK. The Rosh goes down. Loda moves in from behind. They get great burst and almost to finish on the FY, but he's got the Glimmer Cape and he heads out the other direction. Meanwhile, they get the grab on the EGM and will be able to finish him off. Tombstone will also go down, and it's a 1-for-1 trade, and it's still a stronger position for VGJ. They turn back and around, looking to go for Loda. He tries to go for the combo finish onto FY, but can't get it. Ends up losing his own life, and it looks like they may almost get Jonas a fan. They pull him back in from the TP, and he is done for. A 3-man drop on the side of Alliance. VGJ take their favorable fight, and like you said, it just wasn't a good timing for Alliance, but by the way they were doing it, it felt like they had to.
Yeah, but look at the cooldowns on VGJ. They won this fight without a single ulti used.
Yep. That's scary right now if you're Alliance. Aggressive, looking to go into action. There's the repel, but he's got the Force Staff. Queen trying to slow her down. Aggressive pops out the ulti here and
almost
watches his enemies TP away. Not quite able to get in there and get it done, but he is a scary, scary man.
What VGJ is going to do next is just go for that tier 2 tower. This is the second Rosh, and with the recent changes, Medusa picked up Cheese. Imagine how tanky she is with that item right now. With that change right now, the game's not gonna last that long in general, especially with that Cheese, so you can siege the enemy base easier with Aegis and Cheese.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
Certainly would feel pretty confident for VGJ if they were able to kind of take a fight with all their ultis at the up and ready and the Cheese to fall back on now too. Certainly would feel like they would have the fight in the bag here, but they're still giving lots of respect to Alliance, and Alliance are still trying to frantically farm what they can to stay relevant in any sort of skirmish here. But the Medusa continues to farm up, and every opportunity they come across on ganking VGJ, it's just always not that a great target. Happens to be like ROTK or something. And even in that last fight, it took so much effort to even try to get a hold of FY. We're seeing the supports able to pick up those new items like the Glimmer Cape and such. Just renders so much of that magic damage useless on Alliance's side.
Yeah, because everything Alliance has is magical damage. They don't have any right clicker right now. Quap can transition into one, but it takes a lot of time.
Yep, same with the Tiny too. It's just not going to be nearly in the same contention shape as what VGJ have. It looks like a snipe of the Courier will be there. Alliance get that one, and a Fen rear takedown. Two positives there, ones they certainly needed, but they still trail behind, and nearly 10K, and look at that. Another pickup for them as they stumble across FY and will also take him down.
Yeah, they managed to find that duo and kill the Courier as well. Ursa was kind of far from them, so he couldn't get into that fight. Invisibility, and Deso is finished. That guy can pretty much tear apart whatever he finds.
They have that ward up in the secret shop side or near the secret shop side.
Yeah, look at that set on Ursa.
That's expensive.
That's expensive. That set was so ugly that they pulled it back after 1 day, and that's why it costs so much.
Now it's the most famous Ursa set. It looks like lately there's
John
just,
Wayne set.
It's cute. When you have a bear with a cowboy hat running at you, beating your ass, it's nothing more frightening than that. And he continues to do so here. Alliance in a more aggressive farming position, as you can see. Very comfortable hand skin, is taking it pretty deep into VGJ territory. He's banking on having that repel TP to get out if there's any trouble. Pings out for the bottom lane though, as Jonas Fan has possibly been spotted. They get him with the X and the Torrent combo, and it looks like they spotted a Handskin trying to help out, so he will have to evacuate, while poor Jonas is going to have to just take that one on the chin.
Again, VGJ not in a rush for anything with a pipe, mech, and I think it's a full Guardian Greaves flying to him.
Uh-oh, ROTK very deep here. Now surrounded by 3. Certainly he will go down now. Oh my goodness! Pops the mech, pops the pipe, Batman's good. Runs back the other direction, even FY gonna help him out with the Glimmer Cape. The power shots continue to fly, but thankfully he's shrugging that one off, and all right. ROTK a survivor.
All right, well, with Orchid finished, Queen of Pain does some serious damage right now and can control Ursa in fights.
What about the Medusa, though? Look at that. Eagle Song now in her pocket. She's going straight for the butterfly, and I don't know who's going to right-click her. Oh,
Yeah,
my God.
Well, maybe the next item on Queen of Pain should be a full Bloodthorn with a repel from Omni Knight, so they remove the evasion from that.
That seems like mandatory, pretty much, at this point. Moving for the Bloodthorn, if you're having any hope of being able to take it to this Medusa, seems pretty mandatory, but...
Okay, Loda finished, upgraded his Shadow Blade, actually, so that he can remove Tide's spell.
He's down there right now. They're making the jump, and there's the kill. We didn't catch it, but it happened. Loda goes down. Maybe a bit too ambitious. Excited about his Silver Edge.
Too excited.
Too excited, though. Ends up going down there in the bottom lane, and just becomes a quick bit of cash right now for VGJ. Freeze steps into the top lane now and says, I'll take this lane now. Still, though, not feeling any over-eagerness from VGJ. They've gone through their chart. All the outer towers have already been taken down from the side of Alliance. Maybe they simply waited out for the Rosh, grab the Aegis, move on in, and get some slow closure here. Very methodical game.
Yeah, it feels like a chess, not much going on, but really strategic, huh?
Not any real Devi action, you know?
Oh, but look at that combo. X and Ursa,
Is he gonna go now?
Now.
Go! Okay, well, that wasn't exciting at all. But they do have that kind of high ground sieging potential, too. They can send aggressive in to go for quick support pickoffs and then pull him back if he finds himself in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, that's true. Well, this is what actually they should do, especially with Medusa. They can't take her down so easily. It takes like 10-15 seconds with a full team to actually focus her.
But then you have, if they're not focusing her, then that means ROTK could step up with a good Ravage, Pipe, and Mechanism to heal her up. There's a good support staff behind that Medusa. It's not just her.
Loda just buying some more time for his team, cutting that creep wave.
Yeah.
It is with his fancy new item, showing it.
Looking to go commit deep, but VGJ simply rotate themselves to the bottom lane and will continue their assault there. Medusa happy to push herself up into the high ground, and they just obliterate EGM on that Wind Rager. Going to be taking out this one without a buyback. He will be out for this defense. ROTK, the king, moves in with a big Ravage, sets it up onto 3. The boat combo will be there, and suddenly all of Alliance crumble down into the ground. Only going to be Limp here, surviving as the queen, dishes out the Sonic Wave, but she is also gone. She is also the only one with a buyback available too. And it's over just like that. VGJ, I think, just had the better draft here. It really felt like there were not many threats from Alliance in this one.
Yeah, exactly. Alliance with their super magic damage output lineup. Really couldn't contest that Medusa. It was just too much, especially when she made a butterfly. There was no real threat to her.
ROTK, had been a long time since we've been able to see him play that Tidehunter. And in recent games and recent qualifiers, when we had the pleasure of watching VGJ, it's always ROTK who's unfortunately the one under the pressure in the offlane. They love to pick on ROTK, but his Tidehunter was like the biggest tank I'd ever seen.
Yeah, this guy was just in front lines, tanking everything with his early pipe picked. They really didn't have enough damage to take him down at all.
It was a wonderful, wonderful showing there from VGJ. They will take the first game advantage in this best of 3. So why don't we go ahead and throw things over to our panel. Let's see what Nahaz and the gang are up to.
We are back from Shanghai and the Star Ladder I-League Invitational. We're into our second series of the day where VG Gaming J has just taken a 1-0 lead in their best of 3 series against Alliance. I'm back with my panel. Guys, I thought at the time the 5th pick Medusa was decisive. Maybe it was the Tidehunter because Alliance sure didn't have the damage to get through either one.
Yeah, they just walked at him. They just walked at him and was like, all right, I'm
Not
going to take
even
that
running,
thing, I'm going to
walking
take
him.
that thing. As soon as the Aegis went down for the first time, like, there just was nothing that they could do.
Yeah, the amount of damage, I don't know if that's a possible stat, but the amount of damage you take per death. You feeling me?
Yeah, I know. I
Alan?
understand what you mean.
Like how much
yeah.
damage he took for how little he actually died.
Right, right.
Meaning he tanked a lot of damage for every single death that he had. Yeah, it was kind of insane. But I think just overall it was a good draft and strategy. When this is the way IG needed to play their lineups. If you watched the way that VGJ played, they stayed pretty well grouped up. They played around, it was kind of like a kind of a 5-man around their mid tower, and then they swept through and took bottom, or didn't take bottom, but they farmed through bottom, and then they switched up, and then they farmed through top, and they just kind of did this kind of back and forth. But they're always kind of staying together because they had the late game, because they had the defensive style. This is what we were kind of theory crafting as to how you deal with aggression. VGJ showed it beautifully.
Yeah, and we did see a pre-15-minute Roshan onto the Ursa, guaranteeing that in the mid-game that they were going to be able to get that cheese up for the Medusa, who they couldn't burn through her without that.
Yeah, it was a huge problem.
It was a bit of a variation on a classic VGJ strategy that we've seen in the last few months, this kind of big core lineup built around the Medusa. The supports were a little bit different. We talked about freeze and maybe not being on the same page. When you play a hero like Medusa, the potential for that is very low. You're going to be holding towers.
He just follows you.
Right,
yeah.
right. That's one way to deal with it, right? You go where you are. They'll protect you. They can't even get to her most of the time in these fights, but you're still worried about the Tidehunter. I think in this case, Alliance had an interesting draft, but I feel like they played it maybe not to the ideal way that you would expect from them. Maybe you want more aggression, more of these chaotic fights early on from them instead of this time where they tried to farm a little bit with bursty kind of like spell cores. So I'm not sure if that's the way that they wanted to approach this game, but this is a variation on a tried and true VGJ strategy for them. Worked out very well this game as well. The Medusa never really felt that threatened at all. So.
Oh no! I mean that Medusa hit 20K net worth at a time when no other hero in the game had 15. Yeah. Just absolutely huge lead, and that's a hero that. Especially if there's nothing to deal with her on the other team. It's not quite like your Husker or Meepo Frankfurt Major era, but it's close when you have that kind of a damage output problem against her.
The thing that I really liked about this game and that made me really happy was the CM and Kunkka support combo felt so what this patch is. Like you pick heroes that can either A, sort of sit in lane and help you out a little bit if you're having a tough time, but more importantly, move around the map and like find kills, and then in the meantime stack up the jungle for your big cores. And like you build the rest of the draft around that as well. Those first 2 picks, I really like that idea, and I want to see what other heroes could fit within that mold.
And a stark contrast too between the support duo on the other side, where there's really no obvious synergy, first of all, and both of them take quite a while to get online.
Yeah, that's my problem with the Windranger support is that it can look incredibly lackluster at times, and in that sort of matchup, like you're asking Windranger to zone out a Tidehunter, that's really not going to happen, and there was no clear synergy between the duo themselves. I really think that Alliance needed some sort of strong tower hitter to kind of enable that lineup a little bit more, because it was just so easy for VGJ to stay clumped up around and didn't really get punished. I mean, their safe lane tower was up for so long despite them 5-manning everywhere. Yeah. I think Alliance, that's a combination of draft as well as they could have played that, I think, a little bit more objective base, but you know, they were definitely on a very awkward clock for that whole entire game.
In ages past of Pro Dota, right, Tiny would have been the tower hitter, but because of the hero's talents and the way it's played now, that's much more a burst damage spell hero. You're seeing a lot of people forego Ags entirely on the Tiny. So adjustments, guys, for Alliance going into game 2. Anything obvious? Just different draft?
I mean, we often focus on the draft quite a bit, but I think it's just they have to play to the strengths of the draft. I think with what they had, their supports didn't really offer much in the way of initiation or starting fights, and you need like a good burst scenario for Tiny and Queen of Pain to be able to come and finish fights for the most part, unless you're itemizing for them to start fights, which then cripples their potential to develop later on in the mid game. So I just feel like however they draft, they have to play more towards the strengths. I think, you know, if they were able to create a lot of chaotic situations in these fights where it's not a clear frontal engagement for VGJ where the lineup excels, then they have a chance that game. But they have to play to the strengths of their draft.
Okay. So with that said, we are going to take a quick break, run a few ads, and come back and break down some more of this series as we are minutes away from the start of Game 2 to find out whether Alliance can force Game 3 or VGJ will make it a second 2-0 of the day.